does that displace the gasoline? And the answer to that is your mileage. Am I correct? In other words, if you're taking 6 liters of gas of HHO, and you've got a 10-gallon engine and a 6-liter capacity in the engine, how do those measurements work together? I'm afraid you can probably tell I'm a technical imbecile, but I just don't really understand how you can displace so much gasoline and yet not burn up your engine and Does that question make sense to you?
We're not really displacing the gasoline.
Please.
The amount of air that is being processed when an engine is running at a very light engine load still far exceeds the amount of HHO that we're injecting. In fact, at the lightest possible engine load, which is, barely above idle cruising down the highway, your engine is probably consuming someplace in the order of 60 liters per minute or more of air. And in fact, I haven't done the numbers in a long time. I could be way off base. It depends on the displacement of the engine. Yes?
I'm sorry. Is in terms of BTUs? Is that how you measuring the
No.
fuel compensating for the HHO in terms of BTUs?
No. No, we're not. That's not how we're measuring. But again, it depends on the engine displacement. It depends on the throttle position. What I can tell you that is even at 2 liters a minute per liter of engine displacement, we're probably still at a very light engine load, only supplementing the flow of air mixture and fuel less than 5%. To give you an idea, if you want to run an engine completely on HHO, you need a lot of HHO, and it has been shown on a small 4-cylinder engine. It actually has been calculated on a small 4-cylinder engine based on BTU energy available and from the hydrogen and oxygen, that it would take approximately 60 liters per minute of HHO just to make a typical 4-cylinder engine run at a very light engine load. All right, considerably more if you want power from the engine. All right, and we're just talking about making it run. At the show the other day, there was an engine, a generator running all day long, a 2,500 watt generator, and I put my associate put his hand by the muffler and smelled it, and I'll tell you that was some pretty sweet smelling HHO. If anybody knows what I'm talking about. There was a very small trickle of HHO coming up in a bottle, and that was not running the engine. Unfortunately, Smart Scarecrow, who is also a member of our Energy Builders Network group, does have a generator that he does run on pure HHO from a cell that produces approximately 9 liters a minute. This is a 3,500 watt generator. Now, we had hoped to bring that to the show, and Deadpool, who is also a member of our group, flew out from California to Scarecrow's house in Maryland, brought with him a special high compression head because, as you may know, the octane rating of hydrogen is roughly 130. So you can run that in an engine without pre-ignition to a much higher compression. Unfortunately, everything they put together went wrong. Everything that could go wrong did. Murphy was waiting around every corner. In fact, I bumped into Murphy a couple of times on this trip myself. So, but the fact remains that we do have and have shown and demonstrated on YouTube an electric generator, 3,500 watt electric gas-powered generator that does run on pure HHO. It takes more power, roughly more power out than going in, but one of the tests that we have done shows that we can create a flywheel spin down effect with the amount of HHO being generated just from the power being produced by the generator. In other words, if we have the engine running on the hydrogen and you shut off the hydrogen, the engine might run for 10 seconds. But if you power the electrolyzer from the generator, and cut off your external power source, it might run for 35 seconds. So we're getting a spin down effect, and we're getting back almost all of the energy that has been consumed in the production of the HHO in the regeneration of electricity that would produce more HHO. And obviously the end game is to go beyond that, but I still don't think we will ever get there by conventional electrolysis. Conventional electrolysis really has its place as a supplemental fuel with petroleum products in an internal combustion engine. Would you concur with that?
You're beyond me.
In layman's terms, over unity wouldn't be possible.
In layman's terms, there's no such thing as over unity, okay? Realistically, I'm saying that an internal combustion engine is on its best day 18% efficient. So if we can...
Like the cell itself.
Right. The cell itself, in a brute force condition, no.
But I like your logic. You know, when I was telling about running that engine myself, that's why we use the balloon. I've always wondered if you had a bladder that could blow up, of course you got a bomb.
Right.
But using your flywheel to turn the engine off, then
you can definitely observe the
you're
flywheel
getting back
effect.
Close to what you were trying to achieve.
That's correct. So
Yeah.
we know we're pushing the boundaries of,
Right.
of the technology as it exists now in,
Yeah.
in terms of brute force electrolysis. Okay, we know that we're getting back our caloric energy that we're putting in for the most part, and again, the data bears out what we have believed all along, that roughly 7.5 milliliters per minute per watt is going to be about 100% efficient by Faraday's calculations.
What I've learned about generators and stuff like that, to be able to get them to run off of complete hydrogen. Yeah, you can make a generator run off of complete hydrogen. You got to cut the flywheel, you got to cut the carburetor, you got to put a line through closest to the valve as possible.
Speak up, please.
You have to put a line up to the intake valve as close as possible, which is just a copper tube, and cut it like a 45. Now, it's easy to make it run at idle, but the problem is carrying load and being able to adjust it. So you have to make a fuel cell that's way too big for the generator, and you have to be able to control it with a PMW. With a PMW, you can turn the volume of that generator up to meet your load. Now, it's really not consistent. Like, you can take a generator and you can start running it. You have to start it off on gasoline until it gets to engine top temperature, and then after that you go and you move your flywheel, and that because you're already heated up. It's hard to start generators when they're dead cold on hydrogen and get them to run efficient, so you tune them in. The other thing I learned is to be able to handle the situation with load and everything like that, you still have to use gas. But we don't have to use gas to be injected in the carburetor unless we turned it into vapor. If you mix gasoline vapor and hydrogen vapor together, you can get throttle response and you can take load response.
Everybody get that?